Special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation may be over, but several other investigations surrounding the president's orbit are just starting to ramp up. Still under scrutiny by New York prosecutors as well as Congress, Trump's inauguration, the Trump Organization, the Trump campaign, the Trump administration, the Trump Foundation, and House Democrats have a laundry list of investigations that they are pursuing, from the pre-election hush money payments to two women the president allegedly had affairs with, to Donald Trump's family separation policy, everything in between, as you can see by this list on the screen right now. House Democrat Congresswoman Madeleine Dean is joining me now from Capitol Hill. She is a member of the Judiciary Committee and the Financial Services Committee. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us, and just give us your reaction to, it's not the Mueller report, it's a summary from the Attorney General, a 4-page summary of this report. What's your reaction?
Well, my reaction is a couple of things. We ought to recognize something good. Number one, Special Counsel Mueller completed his investigation with a team of able investigators and prosecutors, and I'm thankful that that investigation has come to a close. Number two, we should be glad that the preliminary finding that we know of the Mueller report is that there was no coordination, no conspiracy. Notice the words that they use: no coordination, no conspiracy of the Trump campaign with Russia's known interference with the 2016 election. Number three, there was known interference by Russia in a very serious and grave way with the election of 2016. I hope this administration, and I'm certain Congress, will take that very seriously as we head into the next election. But in terms of Barr's letter, what I hope people will recognize is it's only a very partial summary. It summarizes that first point. The second point that it makes is that Mueller was unable to say, to exonerate the president from obstruction of justice. That's a very important telling second part.
Well, not unable so much as he chose not to, Congresswoman.
He said he would not. You're right. So he said there was evidence both ways. He laid out the facts and
he left it to the Attorney General.
And what you notice is the Attorney General in the 4-page letter offers only partial quotes, very little evidence of what that evidence was. All of that leads me to say we need to see the report. Congress needs to see the report, and the American people need to see the report. Even the president has said that.
Yeah, he said he wouldn't be bothered by it coming out. What the Attorney General is doing right now is he's, with respect to the law, making sure that he can release what he can release. That's what he says in this. Respect to the law and some of the facts that were before the grand jury. Do you agree that that is important? And how concerned are you, especially, we just heard from a deputy White House press secretary that if there's issues when it pertains to executive privilege, the expectation would be that the Attorney General would touch base with the White House, and then the White House would be able to make its opinion known about information going to Congress and what should and should not be going to Congress. Do you have concerns about that process?
I do have concerns about that. Certainly, grand jury testimony to be asked of the judge whether or not that could be released. So I can understand we have to follow the rules there. In terms of executive privilege, I don't see where executive privilege falls in here. The other thing that I think people do not understand, or maybe haven't had the chance to read, is that Attorney General Barr does not just summarize these two larger portions of the Mueller report. He comes to a legal conclusion. He says after weeks of talking with Special Counsel Mueller, he and Rod Rosenstein have decided there was no obstruction of justice. He comes to a legal conclusion in this 4-page letter. That's a leap that I think is very puzzling.
And so you have concerns about that. What do you need to allay those concerns? Do you want to hear from Bill Barr? Do you want to hear from Robert Mueller? And what questions do you need answered?
Number one, we'd like to see the entire report. That's where we have to start, and the evidence that underlies it. Number two, we absolutely should take the chance and the time to talk with Attorney General Barr. As you know, he wrote about a 19-page memo prior to being considered for Attorney General, and you see echoes of the very arguments he made there in this 4-page letter. I've compared the two. So we would like to talk to Barr. I hope that our chairman, Jerry Nadler, will call him.
When you say the entire report, just to be clear, what you hear in this letter, Bill Barr talking about pulling out of this, the report, any information as it pertains to maybe what should not be released, maybe negative information about folks who weren't charged. some information that may have been before the grand jury but would not go before Congress. Are you okay with that? Do you agree with that?
One of the things I think you're thinking about and I'm concerned about and I'm mindful of, I understand that we should not put out information about people who were not going to be charged, that there just wasn't a body of evidence to charge them. There's one problem with that. The Department of Justice has already out its policy that the president cannot be charged. So I think he should be the one exception to that warning and that I think exact barrier, appropriate barrier to those who are not going to be charged with any crime. By accepting the president and by saying the president is in a special privileged place, we still need to see all the evidence as to